Jenny, come on. You're going to miss it.
Tell them to start without me. I need to check on Marie.
She'll be fine. You don't need to check on her every 5 minutes. Come on, it's starting.
Okay, you're right.
For the best part of my later years, I worked as a private investigator. I'd seen many a terrible case. Sadly, most of them unresolved. But in 1954, something terrible and far closer to home happened that I could not avoid. And it happened right here, in Dahlia View. The police are here. What on earth is all the commotion? Now where's my camera? I need to see what's going on outside my window. Now, I can get a closer look. What on earth is all the commotion? That's Tony Morgan's blood. My God, I hope he's all right. Please let him be all right. Smashed plant pot. I must have slipped through it. I should have come to my window sooner. Might have to zoom in for a closer look. Chloroform? What on earth? Bound during abduction. Dear God. Charlotte May, Mr. Morgan's daughter, has been kidnapped. I wonder if Catherine is with them. A kidnapping right on my doorstep. It doesn't bear thinking about. Imagine if it was Catherine. Time to pay my neighbors a visit and see what they know. Charlotte May could only be 7 or 8 years old. Why would someone want to take her? It doesn't make any sense.
Hello, Mr. Conway.
Good evening.
Terrible what's happened, isn't it?
So you know what happened?
They're looking for a kidnapper. A search is about to start in the Pine Woods.
My sister, Shirley, she owns the pub across the way. The searchers are all meeting there first.
What do you know about the kidnapping, Mr. Conway?
Not much. That's why I'm talking to the pair of you.
You should talk to the old busybody over in her big manor house.
Mrs. Doer.
She knows everything that goes on here. I wouldn't be surprised if she saw the kidnapper.
I wouldn't be surprised if she was the kidnapper.
That's an awful thing to say.
Well, have you seen her? Always fawning over that little girl. All alone in that big house. Plenty of room to hide someone.
I can see that you've put a lot of thought into this, Mrs. McKee.
A little too much, love.
Well, I'm not the only one who thinks it.
Oh, blast. What time is it?
It must be a little after midnight by now, surely.
The search is starting without me. I have to get my coat. You'll forgive me, Mr. Conway?
Yes, good night.
Good night, Mr. Conway.
We'll talk again soon.
Excuse me, Mr. Conway. May I have a moment?
Do you know what's happened?
Never mind all that. Your daughter is a police officer, is she not?
She is.
Here, I found this.
What's this then?
A brooch. I found it on the floor here. It probably belonged to that poor girl. Thought I'd better pick it up before Shirley Downs gets her mitts on it.
What do you mean by that?
Never mind. Perhaps you can make sure it finds its way to your daughter.
I will, and thank you for telling me.
Just doing my duty.
Can you tell me what you meant about Shirley?
Good night, Mr. Conway.
Did you see anything else at all?
Just make sure to give your daughter that brooch.
Miss Downs, do you have a moment?
I'm sorry. What did you say?
I can come back if you need some time.
No, it's fine. I'm just... I can't believe this is happening so close to home. Well, maybe I can.
What do you mean by that?
Not everyone in Dahlia View is as they seem, Mr. Conway.
Miss Downs, who are you referring to?
That son of a bitch right there, with the smug look on his face.
Mr. Levy?
Why not? I mean, what do you really know about him?
Well, I pay him my rent once a fortnight, but no other than that. I didn't really speak to the man.
Well, sadly I do. He's up to something. You must have noticed all the strange deliveries, coming and going at night.
You think he took Charlotte May?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm sorry. Miss Downs, what are you basing this on?
Experience, Mr. Conway. You'll excuse me, I need to help the police with their search.
Good evening, Mr. Levy.
Evening.
How strange times we live in when a girl can be taken on your doorstep.
You ain't wrong. It's a bloody mess.
Did you see what happened at all?
Nah.
How well did you know Charlotte May? You lived next door. You must have seen her a lot.
I hope they're gonna clean all this mess up tonight. I've got a business to run.
I'm sure this must be a great inconvenience to you.
That reminds me. Rent day tomorrow. Don't be late.
I haven't forgotten.
Good. Keep it that way, and we'll get along just fine.
May I ask what you were doing tonight?
No.
There's Mr. Morgan. Hello, Mr. Morgan. My name is Robert Conway. I live in flat 23.
Yes, I've seen you around, Mr. Conway.
Well, you see, I thought I'd better come over and check you're okay. Some of our neighbors seem to be content just to stare. I'm so sorry to hear about your daughter.
Very kind of you. I'm sorry, but I'm late joining the search. I've been talking to the police for over an hour.
Of course, I understand. The police officer you spoke to was most likely my daughter.
Is that so?
Yes, she's a very determined young lady. If anyone is going to find your daughter, it's her. I was once a private investigator myself, so I know how her mind works.
Well, it's comforting to know I'm surrounded by such competent minds, Mr. Conway.
I'd like to offer my services too, if you'd permit me.
That's very kind, but I don't have money, I'm afraid.
Mr. Morgan, no. I'm a father myself. I meant to say that I'm at your disposal.
Very generous, but the police said that...
All I'd be doing is observing and talking to people. And if I find anything, I'll be sure to share it with Catherine.
Catherine?
My daughter, the police officer.
Right, of course.
That reminds me. I have this brooch. Does this mean anything to you?
That's Charlotte May's.
You see how the simplest detail can be overlooked, even by the police. Best to have as many eyes on the case, in my experience.
I see your point. May I have it back, please?
Would you mind if I kept onto it for a day or so, in case it proves to have some use?
Yes, of course. If you think it would help. I would very much like you to return it, though.
As soon as I have something to report back to you. You have my word.
So, where do you suppose you'd begin?
Well, right here.
In Dahlia View?
Yes. It's my experience that it's usually someone who knows the victim.
Do you mean to tell me that one of my neighbours has my girl?
No. I'm merely saying that it's a logical place to start.
Now I see. That's why the police searched my house. Because I'm a suspect, I suppose.
That's the way it works, I'm sorry to say.
So they're not even looking for the real kidnapper?
I can assure you they will be.
Tell me, Mr. Conway, and be honest. Are you going to look for my girl?
I promise you, I'll stop at nothing until I find her. For now, I need you to think of anyone who could have taken Charlotte May.
I don't know.
Think, anyone or anything at all.
Mr. Conway, who do you know who could do such a thing?
I see your point. Well, for now, perhaps try to get some rest. Charlotte May needs you to be strong for her.
You'll excuse me, Mr. Conway. I'm going to join the search and find my little girl.
That's fair enough, Mr. Morgan. Good night, and good luck.
Good night, Mr. Conway.